Hey class, welcome back to Econ, and if you're watching this video, it means that it must be time to work on your projects. So pay attention to everything we talk about in this video and make sure that you are also checking out the website and paying attention to the things we talk about in class so that you know exactly what's expected of you come due date time. So we're going to begin by laying out the foundation of these projects. In class, you should have worked on a budget, and you need to have a budget before you can begin anything else with these projects. Every single month, you are going to be turning in a revised budget, and that budget is going to show me how it changed from the first draft up until this project, and then what changes you had to make within this project. So if you don't have a budget yet, go back there, start over, get a budget going with everything we talked about in class, so that way you're ready to go with this project. Now, throughout the course of the semester, we're going to be doing 4 of these projects, unless I cancel one for some reason or another throughout the semester, and I'll let you know about that. But make sure that you know your due dates, plan ahead, know everything that is expected of you, read through the rubric so you don't miss anything. A lot of times students miss points just because they don't turn something in or they forget to include something. So I'm going to run through everything here with you so that you know what's expected and you know exactly what you need to turn in come project due date time. Just in case you're interested, if you turn it in a week in advance, I do give you bonus points to help cover any of those small things that you forget here and there. So you have that option every single time. Turn it in a week early. That way you get yourself a little bit of grace in the case that you forgot something. So as we walk through each of these projects, you should know that for everything that you do, I'm requiring that you keep immaculate details. Don't leave anything out. If you're not sure whether it needs to be in there, go ahead and throw it in there just to make sure that you're not losing anything. So as you are recording things, as you're handwriting things, as you are researching, print stuff off your computer, take photos when you are visiting stores, make sure that you document, and then include it in everything that you do. If you find out later on you don't need it, then that's fine, don't include it. But you don't want to get to the final submission and realize that you forgot to document something and you're going to be missing out on something. So we want everything to be converted to digital format, submitted on Canvas. If you have any questions about that or need help, please come see me and we can work that out. Quite often you can do this very simply with your camera on your phone, take a screenshot and then email it to yourself, put it all together into a Word document and take those photos, drag and drop them into your Word document, and now you've got it all converted digitally. When you are working on your project, you have to stay within your budget, even if that means you need to move some things around in your budget a little bit. There is no borrowing from next month, borrowing from mom and dad, borrowing from a neighbor. You must make sure that you stay within your budget. And so that's part of what I'm looking for you to accomplish here is what can you do with the money that you've been given? If you need to save up for a few months and write that into your analysis where you say, I don't have enough money right now, I'm going to have to wait for 6 months and I'm going to create an account and I'm going to save up for 6 months to be able to afford this purchase. That is okay, but you need to show that in your budget that you're going to have a fund saving up for that purchase. And maybe I'm getting ahead of myself here. Maybe we need to talk about what we're doing with this project. We are going to go out in 4 different times throughout the semester, and you are going to make a large purchase of some sort. On the website, it'll show you all the different projects that you have to choose from. I think I've got 19 or 20 different projects that you can choose. You choose the one that sounds interesting to you. And so throughout the course of the class, I may have several people doing different projects, and that's okay. You need to do one that is interesting to you and one that you have time to accomplish. Some of them take more time than others, so think through that a little bit as well as you're planning out your semester. The ones that take the longest are the ones that are going to be more detailed, and often students come back to me and they say, you know, I learned the most from that one, even though it took me longer than the easy one. So I want you to challenge yourself a little bit. Think real life situation, real life scenario. You are not actually purchasing anything in these projects. So don't sign any paperwork, don't make any commitments. If you're talking to a salesman, you need to be upfront and let them know, this is for an econ project. I'm not actually going to be buying this today. So when you go through the projects, you need to first of all select which one you're interested in doing. You could do anything from buying a car to grocery shopping for a family of 4. There's also opportunities for you to plan a vacation, and everybody's favorite is always the extravagant purchase. You've got $1,000 that you can go out and you can spend on anything that you want, but you've got a budget for it and you have to have the money so that you can go out and buy that new TV or that computer or whatever you're dreaming of. But you need to make sure that it's included in that budget. So with that, you're also creating a time journal. That time journal needs to provide me the information of everything that you've done throughout that project. So that could include research, that it could include your travel time to the mall, it could include your time that you spent on the computer typing up your analysis. I need to know the specific date, the amount of time that you spent, and what you did on that particular event. So that all gets put together in a spreadsheet, include that in your final analysis. You can see the example in the Word document that I've included as well. Make sure to take a look at that. So time journal is really important. You need to make sure that when you are doing your purchase, when you are researching, you are comparing 3 different stores, 3 locations. It does not count if you are just searching online and you're finding 3 different places online. I only take 1 online comparison. I realize that many of us do our shopping strictly from Amazon or the Walmart app, but there is something to be said for going and talking to a salesman, especially when it's a large purchase, finding out what are the advantages to different brands, models, what are the features of these things that we're looking to purchase. For instance, I know that there's a website out there called Carvana. You can buy a car online. You never see it. You just simply look at all the details on the computer. You see videos. They have it all inspected and everything's great. You might be a person that would be interested in doing that. However, you're not going to be able to talk to a salesman and find out what has happened with that car or what are the advantages of that car over another one. Once again, some of you are really tech savvy. You might be able to research and find out all that stuff yourself. But for this project, I want you going and talking to somebody, and I want you finding out more about the process than just looking at a computer screen and reading the data and information. I want you finding out who would be a good expert, who's bought a car before, who knows what type of car is going to last, and how you're going to be able to purchase that as effectively as possible with your given budget. So you are allowed 1 online comparison. The other 2 that you need to do need to be in person. So again, if we're going to the car buying experience, you are going to look Auto Trader, Carvana, any of these online websites, you can use that as a comparison. Then you need to go to 2 car lots and you need to do comparison at 2 different car lots. Don't go to 2 different Bob Rohrmans. Make sure that you go to 2 different places so that you can find the best deal on a similar car. Now, speaking of comparison, we've got to make sure that our comparisons are level. We don't want to go comparing 3 different cars that are going to be way out of sorts with the price range. You can't compare a boat with an RV with a hatchback car. Those are not good comparisons. You're not going to find out whether you're getting a good deal on that hatchback car that you're actually wanting to purchase. So you need to find something that's very similar. Chances of finding the exact same car on 3 different car lots are almost impossible. But I want you to find something very similar. You can compare 3 different models from 3 different makes that are of a similar style. If you're going hatchback, you can compare a Ford to a Chevy to a Subaru. Just make sure they're very similar in the way that they are constructed, and then also with the year, that you are within a year or 2 in your comparison. You don't want to be comparing a 2002 Ford Focus that I am still driving and compare it to a 2008 Ford Focus, because that's not a great comparison there either. You're obviously going to have more value in the 2008 than you would in the 2002. So make sure your comparison shopping is done well. We can also look at the grocery store if you choose to go out and buy groceries. There are some times where you can split the comparisons. For instance, if you're going to go to the grocery store and you're going to compare Wheaties, and yes, I did put a shameless plug in here for the Green Bay Packers. You're going to go buy Wheaties at the store, and you're going to comparison shop a box of Wheaties at Walmart, and you're going to compare it to Target. That's fine. You're going to want to look for the name brand at both places. However, I understand that some of you have no problem with buying the generic store brand version of Wheaties, and that is perfectly okay. But make sure that if you're going to compare the store brand Wheaties at Walmart, you're also comparing a store brand of Wheaties at Target. Now, Wheaties may not be a big deal to you, that the store brand might be just fine. However, if it comes to something like bottled water, there might be some kinds of bottled water that you say, I just cannot drink the store brand. I have to have my Nestle Pure Life water. And that's your brand, and that's the one you're going to go with. Then make sure that you compare that with the 3 stores that you look at. If it's Walmart and Target and Payless or wherever it is that you're shopping, make sure that you're comparing the same brand if you can find it. Now, if you can't find it, then we're going to get the next closest thing. But don't compare the Nestle with the Sam's Choice at Walmart compared to whatever the Target brand off-brand is. That's not a real great comparison there. You also want to look at the size and the quantity that is involved in there. So when you're looking at the boxes, you're going to want to find out what is the ounce of this box of Wheaties that I found at Walmart. Comparing that with a smaller box at Target is not going to be a good comparison. So find likes with likes. Check the quantity and the sizes. When we're checking out bottled water, make sure you have the same number bottles of water in that case. If you're going to go buy in bulk at Sam's, you're not going to want to compare that with a smaller package over at Target. It's just not going to help you get the best deal. And that's what we're looking for. We're trying to stretch your money as far as we can within your budgets to help you save for other expenses you have in that month or to put into your savings account. So we want to find the best deal. If you're doing the grocery shopping one, I think there's 2 different grocery shopping projects that you can choose from. You're definitely going to want to make a list ahead of time. And this really goes with all the projects. You need to know what you're going into the store to look for before you walk in. If you walk in just saying, man, I need groceries for a family of 4 for a week, and you walk into the grocery store having no planning ahead of time, you're going to spend forever there figuring out what do I need. Or you're going to go find a half a dozen items and you're going to say, well, that's probably good enough, and you're going to walk out, and when you start typing this up and realizing I can't make that last for a week, or you turn it in and I tell you you can't make that last for a week, then you're going to run into problems. So this is where you're going to want to make sure that you have a list ahead of time. These are the ingredients that I need, or this is what I'm looking for in a car, or these are the elements that I need when I'm planning my vacation, locations I'm looking for, different food items, travel, accommodations, all those things. Plan that out ahead of time. So that way you're not doing it while you're sitting in front of the store employee. We could also look at buying large appliances. A lot of people like to choose that one because it's something tangible that you could see yourself doing here down the road a few years. So if you're buying large appliances, this is one where I definitely recommend that you talk to a store employee. Find out what are the advantages to going with a particular brand over another one. Does one tend to have more repairs that are required? Does it last longer? Is it more energy efficient? These are the type of questions you ought to be asking. And you may say, well, Mr. Jones, I have no idea what questions to ask. I've never bought any of these things. Great. Talk to your parents. Most likely they have bought these things. And one of the qualifications that I am requiring that you do is talk with an expert besides your parents. Your parents is a given. I'm just assuming that you're going to be talking with your parents about some of these things. But I want you to talk with somebody else. Now, this expert does not necessarily have to be somebody that works in the field. However, that is what I'm looking for. I want you to find somebody else outside of your immediate family that has gone through this experience in real life. Whether it's buying a car, whether it's renting an apartment, whether it's planning a vacation, I want you to go talk with them, find out what worked for them, what did not work for them, any sort of advice that they would give you as you are planning this out. So that is something that is required. You do need to talk with somebody outside of your immediate family that can help you in your planning process. I would highly recommend that if you're planning a vacation, you go see a travel agent. If you're planning a wedding, that you talk to a wedding coordinator. If you are doing one of the projects, the cell phone comparison is one where you would want to go talk to an individual who sells cell phones. Go to Verizon, go to Sprint, wherever it is that you want to go, and find out what are the advantages to their company over another one. So once you have done your comparison shopping, now you're ready to come up with your analysis. You're going to put all of those comparisons on a couple of spreadsheets, and you are going to evaluate where can you get the best deal? Where can you get the best experience? Sometimes the best deal may not be the best experience. There are a couple of grocery stores in an area where I used to live that I would not walk in there, even though I know it'd save me $15 on my grocery bill. I didn't trust the cleanliness nor the people who work there. I'm not going to go shop there. So you may find that in your experience. Maybe you did your comparison shopping at Walmart and you just did not have a good experience there. The employees were not helpful and you just would rather not deal with that headache. You'd rather go to a place that's going to treat you better, and so it might be worth the extra $5 or $6 on your grocery bill. Put that in your analysis. Talk about that and tell me this was a better place to go. If you're buying a car and you walk into a place and the salesman is not willing to give you the time of day because you're a high school student, you're doing a project, and he's not making a commission, well, when you're ready to go buy a car, is that the type of place you really want to go? Not where I want to go. So you can put that into your analysis when you're considering which one are you actually going to purchase. And you need to make sure that as you are visiting these stores, that you are documenting everything that you are doing. If you've created a grocery list, I highly recommend that you put it on Excel, you print it out, and then as you're comparing your stores, you can write down the prices and the sizes that you find. And then all you need to do is take that document, take a photo of it on your phone, and then upload that in your final analysis. So that way I have proof that you went and you comparison shopped at all these different places. You can also take photos. Unless the store has a policy against that, or if you have an employee tell you that they don't want you taking photos, rarely does that happen, but occasionally does. But you can take photos of the refrigerator that you are looking at, and what are the specifications from that refrigerator compared to another one that you are doing at a different store. Include those photos in your final analysis to prove to me that you went to visit that store and also to provide a good comparison. It also helps if I can see that you compared a stainless steel refrigerator at store A, you also compared another stainless steel at store B and another one at store C, then you've done your due diligence and you've done your job of doing a good comparison on that. So take photos of all those purchases on your website, take screenshots or do printouts so that way you can include those. Anything you're doing online, make sure that you document as well. Just because you find it on a quick Google product search does not mean that is actually something that you can get to your house in a timely or a non-expensive fashion. You want to check your shipping charges and find out, is there a delivery fee? Is there an online service fee? And so go all the way into where you found that product and get to your cart where you check out and show the total, including all the fees that are involved and delivery charges, and that's where you're going to take your screenshot. Now, once again, please do not put any personal information into these websites, and if they were going to require that you do so, I would recommend that you back out or have mom and dad look at it because you really shouldn't need to get price quotes on things that are done legitimately. The car buying one may be one where it asks you for more personal information, and again, that's where I'd recommend just avoid that and go to a car dealership in town, and it shouldn't take you too long to be able to do that. But that's up to you, and talk that over with your parents how you want to handle that. So when you are finished with all of your research, you're then going to take what you've learned and you're going to put into a final typed out analysis. And in that analysis, I'm looking for a number of things. I'm looking for you to explain to me your experience. What did you do? What project were you involved in? Introduce that to me in your beginning paragraphs. Who did you seek advice from? If you talk to your parents, include that in there. What did you talk about? What did they tell you? What type of things did you learn from them? You also need to include your expert advice. And this expert can be a wide variety of people. It could be the salesman at Best Buy who's trying to sell you a washer and dryer, and he is your expert, and he's telling you about all these things. It could be a travel agent. It could be your next door neighbor who just bought a washer and dryer or who just went on a vacation, and you're going to ask him about his experience and what he learned from it and what you need to do in order to accomplish this. So make sure you include that early on in the analysis. I'm definitely going to be looking for that. In your summary, tell me where you went, how you compared, what went through your mind and what you experienced in your whole project as you were doing your research, your comparison, as you took in the advice from those people, some things that you learned there. And then in the middle section of your analysis, you're going to tell me a little bit about which products you chose to purchase and why. So when you compare 3 different stores for each of these products, you're going to then select one. You're going to tell me, well, I decided to buy the washer and dryer from Best Buy because, and you start writing out and fill in the blank. And you tell me what were the advantages there. They're offering a special on the weekend that you went and visited, and they gave you free delivery, free haul away of your old one, and that was what pushed you over the edge. You need to tell me when you decide to purchase that, how you plan to pay for it. And putting it on a credit card and paying it off later is not an option. You need to have money in your budget to be able to pay for it. As I mentioned in the beginning, there may be some times where you run into a problem and you say, man, I can't afford it this month. I don't have the money there. You got to tell me, can I do this in the next couple of months, or could I use my savings from the last 3 months to help cover this? But if you do that, keep in mind these projects are cumulative. So if you take out if you do a project here in February and you tell me, well, I took my savings from the last 3 months that was sitting in my bank account to pay for this new washer, dryer, and refrigerator, you can't come to me in March and say, well, I need to buy a new car, so I'm going to take my savings from the past 3 months and I'm going to buy a new car. That doesn't work because you just did that back in February. So you do have the option as well to look ahead to the future. You could tell me, well, I really can't afford this right now, so I'm going to have to wait another 6 months, or I'm going to have to wait 4 months until I can replenish my savings a little bit more, and then I could go out and I could purchase this. There are a few cases where it may be an emergency type of situation, and you're going to have to be really creative with your budget in order to be able to cover those expenses. We don't want to take out a loan for any of these things. The car might be the exception where you're going to take out a loan for that, or when you're financing a home. But for most of these projects, you're going to be coming out of your budget. There are a few projects, though, that the budget does not come into play, and those are the exception, not the rule. So you really need to look at the details of the project. They usually tell you this one does not require a budget. It's a little bit of a different experience. There are also a couple of projects that may not require a comparison of 3 different locations. But again, that's the exception, not the rule, and that's where you need to look at the details in the outline of each project to tell you which ones those are. The final part of your analysis, and this is the ending paragraph or the last couple paragraphs, you're going to tell me what lessons did you learn in this whole experience. What would you have done differently? Or what was really good that you picked up from advice from these experts and you did in your project that you think is worthwhile? I definitely do that again. Tell me about positive things, negative things. I want to know, how did this benefit you and how you can use it in the future. I am okay with you using first person in this analysis. You can do that. This can be pretty informal. You're reporting back to me what happened throughout your entire experience. Now, all of these things put together cannot be done in a single night before the project's due. So if you wait until Sunday afternoon, most of these due dates are on a Monday. So if you wait until Sunday afternoon and say, oh man, I got to get my project done, chance of you pulling this off successfully, not very good. Had it done before, and it can be done, but it either doesn't result in the outcome that you're hoping for, or it doesn't result in you actually getting it done. So make sure that you plan ahead. Look at the due dates. They are in the syllabus and they're on the website. Look at the due dates. Look at your schedule coming ahead. If you have a really busy weekend leading up to that due date, then plan ahead, get this done early, so that way you are not rushing at the end. Take a look at all the projects that there are. Some of them take more time than others, and I know I've done every one of them, or at least almost every one of them. I know about how much time it should take on that, and so I could point you in the right direction toward one that would help you if you're struggling to figure out which ones are the easier ones, which ones take a little more time. You're not allowed to do any group projects. Everybody's doing theirs on their own. I want everybody doing separate projects. However, if you want to make a day of it and you guys, you want to go off and go to the mall together, but you're all doing separate projects, you're all doing your own thing, that is fine. But make sure that you are not doing all the same comparisons, that you're not shopping at all the same stores. You do need to divide up a little bit once you get to that place. If you have any questions on that, come see me and we'll talk. We already talked about comparison with the brand name versus the store name. Please keep track of that. There may be some times with the bigger items like the washer and dryer where you might compare a Whirlpool to a Maytag, but make sure that you look at the specifications. And that's part of what needs to be included in your details for your product. You need to tell me how big is it, what's the capacity, what are the features. Make sure they're very similar. If you're choosing a very basic model at Sears, comparing it to a high-tech model at Home Depot, not a good comparison. So compare likes with likes. And each and every one of these projects are cumulative. So if you do one in the month of February, you cannot repeat it again in March. You also need to carry over your same budget. Your budget does not wipe out. It's like in real life. If you spend all of your savings in February, you can't just magically have that reappear and reset come March or April. We've got to make sure that we are keeping that all in line. So I'm sure you'll have questions about that, but make sure that you read through all the descriptions. Let me know as you do have questions. Hopefully this will help you get started, and I look forward to seeing what you all come up with.